Welcome to the Olympic Stadium in Rome, where the sun is shining. The conditions are very good for this match of considerable significance at the top of the Italian First Division. The facilities here superb, the pitch less so, and Corrado Orico's selection awaited with bated breath. Who would carry the can for last week's calamity against Sampdoria? Well, there's just one change in personnel, but a definite alteration in emphasis. Massimo Ciocci replacing Dino Baggio. It's a second striker at the expense of a midfield player. Lazio's second season under Dino Zoff has got off to this spirited start. The side unchanged from that which beat Ascoli 4-1 away last week, with one German, Thomas Doll, settling in well, and the other, Karl-Heinz Riedler, sufficiently recovered from an ankle injury to be on the bench this afternoon. In rampant form, though, the Uruguayan Ruben Sosa, on target in the last 3 games. Referee Tullio Lanese. How will Inter react to the drubbing, their biggest defeat in the Italian First Division since the 1972-73 season, when they lost also 4-0 to Torino? So Lazio in the light blue, shades for them of the 70s, when they won the championship for the only time in 1974. Their attack led then by the renowned Giorgio Chinaglia, who started in football at Swansea and ended up playing in New York with the Cosmos. And the real meat of his career in Italy spent here in Rome, and Lazio attacking the goal to the left in the first half. Back pass from Andy Bremer. Walter Zenga protected from the sun by the cap. A crowd of up around 60,000, I would think. And Corrado Orico, the Inter coach, hoping for a substantially better showing. He's been playing down the problems that surfaced away to Sampdoria, and in not changing the team too much, he's maybe told the players that that's a one-off, and it can be lived with, but only if it's a one-off. This is a difficult game to follow on such a thrashing as Sampdoria handed out to Inter last week. Andy Bremer with the free kick, and a goal! A goal after 1 minute and 15 seconds, with Riccardo Ferri coming in on the free kick from Bremer. And what a point made here by Inter. And the young goalkeeper Fiori was just staring in disbelief at this marvellous start. In went Ferri, and there's the ball nestling in the corner. Riccardo Ferri, the Italian centre-back, the long-time international who's been left out of the last game. It was a game perhaps worth missing against Bulgaria last Wednesday. Italy were beaten 2-1. So individually he's got a point to prove, and of course Inter collectively have made the most marvellous early impact here. And what will Lazio be able to do in terms of responding? They haven't won either of their home games, oddly enough, although they're top of the table. They've drawn them both 1-1. But they've won twice away. Here's Sclosa, not to be confused with Sosa. Claudio Sclosa is very much Italian, 30 years old. Stropper lifting it forward. Thomas Dobb. Not getting very far. Ferry stepping in, and the whistle had already gone for an infringement by Sosa. Well, now Inter will be much more composed, one would think, even facing the intimidating atmosphere. The Lazio fans, as with all Roman supporters, very partisan, very passionate. Tackle by Bacci. Well, Orico, in picking Ciocci to play up with the lone Klinsmann, he has been lone in the other games. And that's a little bit of shirt tugging there by Ruben Sosa. And then after the whistle had gone, an unnecessary foul by Ferry, who's, I say foul, the ball was dead, so it's more of an assault, really. Ruben Sosa was certainly tugging away. Ferry knew that the free kick had been given, but he still did that. He had Sosa in his sights, did Ferry then. It's Mateus looking for Berti. Inter have a big match coming up in midweek. They're 2-1 down to Boa Vista from Portugal in the UEFA Cup first round, first leg. Here's Sklosa leaving it to Stropper. He's always been blessed with great talent. Just couldn't force himself as a regular into the Milan side. Huge competition, of course, for places there. Dino's off on the left of the bench. He's been reminded this week that exactly 2 years ago, after 4 league games, he was in charge of Juventus, who were top of the table. And their 5th game was against, yes, you've guessed it, Inter. They lost it and lost top spot. But Sosa determined here that Lazio aren't going to be losers. There's a trip by Berti right under the nose of the referee. Really outskilled. Ruben Sosa back to the sort of form that he showed in those World Cup qualifying games, where almost by himself he got Uruguay their place in the 1990 World Cup finals. He was so revered then in the international game that he was asked to take part in the World Cup draw. But he didn't play too well when the finals were actually staged. Missed the penalty in one game for Uruguay. Bremer cuts it off, keeps it in. Gets the better of Marchegiani. Mateus got in the way. Sklosa. Begodi. Now Dobb. Themselves back together again after that early shot. Bianchi. Berti, Klinsmann. You can see the players taking great care even over the short passes, because they're not really trusting the surface, and one would think they were right to adopt that attitude. It's going to be hard for attackers to set themselves for a meaningful shot. Perhaps it's not just a coincidence that the one goal we have had has come from a header. Stropper played it well. Out from Marchegiani. And then Pin was the player who lost the ball in the end. Bergotti wins it back. Here's Thomas Doll. Again, finding it difficult to carry the ball. Pin, only Ruben Sosa in the penalty area for Lazio. Rico, the inter-coach, says that his players must expect the lineup to be changed even if the team wins. It's his fifth different formation in 6 matches, but here's Ruben Sosa trying to get the better of it, and Paganin not panicking. Certainly got the crowd invigorated. "24 minutes gone." And Zenga comfortably. The idea really was from Stropper's corner to loop it towards Bergotti at the near post. Marchegiani struggling for breath at the moment. He's the player who's got into the side with Riedler being injured. Dino Zoff was in charge of Juventus for 2 years. They finished 4th on both occasions. Oh, that was delightfully done by Doll. It looks better if you're leading 1-0 than when you're losing 1-0. The crowd a little anxious, wanting to see more of the ball in the penalty area. Dino Zoff might share that opinion. They've got a corner. Prettiness doesn't necessarily equal points. And although Lazio caught the eye, there's still a goal behind. Steered away by Berti, headed back by Sklosar. Bergotti. Senga has lost it. And even then it takes 2 attempts for Gregucci to put the ball in. But the concern, it's no goal, let me just say for the record. The concern is for Walter Zenga, who went down at the feet of Cristiano Bergotti. As Sklosar headed the ball back in, the defenders were coming out. And here's Bergotti just slipping, and if he hadn't slipped he might have got to it. Instead he made only contact with Zenga. Raymer to Bergami. Very calmly done by Soldar. A miscontrol then would have run straight to Ciocci. Marchegiani feinting to cross and then rolling it into the feet of Doll. Not quite deep enough if he was aiming for Bacci. More of the game now being played closer to Inter's penalty area. It's another Lazio throw. Remember, it was 3 weeks ago when Inter came here and beat Roma by 1-0. That was a second-half penalty, a late penalty earned by Ciocci and scored by Matteus. Here's Pin. It's a good spell this though for Lazio, without really as yet creating a chance. They have a corner. Stropper to spot it up. Bacci to come forward, Gregucci as well. And Bergotti, the number 2. Gregucci, and then Ruben Sosa. It flew through a packed penalty area. Gregucci came in, first of all, And then the ball broke just where Lazio wanted it to. And there would have been no offside. It was Mateus back there alongside Zenga. And Ruben Sosa found the accuracy. But Zenga was perfectly placed. Six minutes to go to half-time. Bacci. Here's Closa. Bianchi getting in Closa's way. Well, the game began with a free kick at the other end of the pitch from a similar position on the left-hand side. Bremer landed on Ferry's head, 1-0 to Inter. Stropper tries to create an equalizer. Oh, and should have done, really. Zenga is furious with those who should have been defending in front of him. And it was Sosa at the far post who was beaten in the end by the bounce. Bremer. Pagani. How Lazio would have wished to have got an early goal, because one would have wondered a little about Inter's morale if they'd gone behind here hard on the heels of last week's drubbing. But the mood set by the events in the opening 75 seconds. Lazio have been trying to repair the damage ever since then. They're getting a generous stoppage time to continue that quest before half-time, although now the referee being firmer in where the free kick should be taken from. The timekeeper. Well, the support is still impressive, and Lazio have probably found conditions, as well as Inter, not to their liking in this first half of really Italy's most interesting match of the day. But it is a fixture list full of promising encounters. The half-time news on that will await the players when they get to the dressing room. It's been a first half in which Lazio have had the ball, but Inter have had the goal. Andy Bremer floating the ball across, as he's done so well down the years for club and for country, and Riccardo Ferri finding the back of the net with a fine header. Lazio still have to recover from that, but Inter strong in their self-belief now. They lead here in Rome at half-time by 1-0. The substitute number 13 coming on is the defender Torino, in his first season here. Signed from Triestina. Valerio Fiori, we haven't seen too much of him in the Lazio goal, because Inter, having taken the lead, have settled for the most part for keeping it rather than adding to it. This on a ground where they've already won one game 1-0 this season against Roma. But if you want another pointer, Lazio have drawn 1-1 both their matches here against Parma and Atalanta. So this is Ciocci, and that's a bit more like it, as if Orico has said, come on, I'm playing with two forwards, let's see something of you. Not too much in the shot, but it was a show of initiative from Massimo Ciocci. Bremer. Lazio's ambition at the start of the season to finish high enough to qualify for a UEFA Cup place. They're certainly capable of doing that, and maybe in the time that remains here we'll see whether we should regard them as anything more serious than that in terms of the championship. Have they got the initiative and the talent and the will to get back into here, having got off to the worst possible start? Stropper. Doll. It's a good idea, but Matthias knows all about him. German on German. Although a couple of years ago we'd have been saying West German on East German. Happily that distinction is not required anymore. And another German is face down, Jürgen Klinsmann. Luigi Torino, responsible for the foul. Torino cost £1 million as a player to be available to come into the defence when Gregucci might be injured. Good jump by Klinsmann. Ciocci against Bergotti. Klinsmann's at the near post and the goalkeeper let it bounce off his chest behind for the corner. But that was Ciocci to a T. With the ball at his feet, a swift turn and suddenly problems for Lazio. Up comes Bergami as Matthias places the ball for the corner. We're in the 5th minute of the second half. Inter looking for a second goal. And Ferry, who supplied the first one, couldn't quite get his bearings that time. Bremer. Matthias had got back onside. This is Marchegiani. Pin letting it run. Now Ruben Sosa. It's a difficult angle, but he can make light of such difficulties. He didn't quite then. It certainly had the Zoff up with anticipation. He's always rather got a hangdog expression about him, Dino Zoff. Klinsmann, they've got it to contend with this time. He was being held. Lazio starting the day as the league leaders. But they'll be knocked off the top unless they can recover here. Matthias trying to add to their problems from the free kick, but before it can be taken, the arrival in place of Stropper of Karl-Heinz Riedler. The 26-year-old German who's been out with an ankle injury. Ciocci. Brought out by Sklosa. Sosa. Doll will play a little deeper now, I think you'll find. Pins cross, it's a useful one. Punched away by Zenga. Getting plenty of distance to it. Certainly the crowd lifted by the arrival of Riedler. Can the team respond in similar fashion? Berti having his shirt tugged by Bacci. But just as Riedler came on as a substitute, there was a glimpse of a heading chance for Klinsmann. Matthias with a bit more licence in the second half to move on. Ciocci. Well, we're still seeing very little of Klinsmann, but Shochi, who said before the game started, and he knew he was playing, that this is a very happy ground for him. Trying to just exaggerate that point. Matthäus, that's a marvellous ball to Nicola Berti. Still Berti. Klinsmann. It's not in, incredibly. That could have put it beyond Lazio's redress. It was a marvellous move by Inter. Matthäus Berti, and it just needed a sure touch by Klinsmann, and he couldn't supply it. But whereas Inter were restrained in the first half after they've scored, you can't say the same about them now. Klinsmann will have been very disappointed by the outcome a moment or two ago. Not really going his way in this match, and that wasted chance summed it up. Lazio are still in the picture. Pin. Skloza. And it's awkward for Bergami. He let Ruben Sosa shrug him aside, but it gives us the chance to assess the missed opportunity at the other end. Berti couldn't be prevented from getting in the cross, and relatively the goal was open for Klinsmann, but on his left foot the contact wasn't clean. And Inter are going to take off Paganin to bring on Baggio. Tino Baggio, who played from the outset against Sampdoria, started the match very well, pushing forward from midfield. Klinsmann. Now Bianchi. Being forced across the pitch. Bremer. All the while, Berti was just standing in that spot, wondering whether Bianchi would give him the ball. It came to him from Bremer. Shochi with another clever turn. And again, they forced him out of the penalty area. That was the first priority. Taken up by Solda. Skloza labouring a little at the moment. Berti was not often found wanting on the athletic side of the game. Pin. And again, he found an extra turn of speed. He knew where Ruben Sosa was, but the pass just angled behind him, and Pin hangs his head in disappointment as the crowd bellow their frustration. But it was the execution that let them down, not the idea, which was a good one. Klinsmann, great work from him. On he battles, and Shochi was just spectating rather there, actually standing down and rubbing his ankle as if he wanted to make an excuse for why he wasn't trying to pick up the pieces. After Klinsmann, who's clearly anxious to get a goal after that miss in the second half. Here's Baggio. Matthäus away from Marchegiani, putting it on for Bianchi, who's linking up with Klinsmann. That's a lovely return ball. Jürgen Klinsmann is having one of those afternoons. Hard on the heels of the news about his improved contract for a run now till 1994. Matthäus trying to charge to the centre on his own. It's a good angle on it because you can see the determination followed by the shock of the challenge. And Inter send on Bontolan, which keeps them with two strikers up front. And straight away gets to Bremer's cross. I would think Klinsmann would feel a little relieved that he wasn't the player taken off. But it's Chochi who's gone. Sosa. It's a clever cross. Oh, and Riedler. Well, where was the marking? Here's Berti. And that's Soldar. Berti is such an expressive character. He's 24, but he's got a look of a younger man around him, and the game goes on. Soldar just spoken to quietly by the referee. Now Mateus. Got a moment to reflect on the Riedler header. Ruben Sosa caught Inter off guard by getting the ball in quickly. And Riedler in a similar position, a little further out than he was at Wembley. But the ball just drifting beyond him. And if it's too high, whether you're marked or not. And Doll able to hang on to the ball long enough to get a free kick. Now this could be a problem for Inter. Mateus trying to buy his defenders some time by moving the ball around. Skloza wants to get the ball in. Can he do it as accurately as Bremer did for the one decisive free kick that we've had so far? Oh, that was a very good chance by Riedler's standards. And Zenga wonders where the cover was. It certainly wasn't a ball that the goalkeeper could have got to, he felt. And it was played in with pace, and look how Riedler got in front. And having got there, it was criminal, really, that he didn't hit the target. In the circumstances, he's not been out for too long, in case you might think he's a bit rusty. Just missed last week's game against Ascoli, missed a chance to get amongst the goals. Down goes Fontelan, theatrically enough to get his free kick. It's a combination of Torino and Marchegiani. Well, Bremer again in a position that he might relish. They like to play it to the edge of the area, knowing how well Mateus can hit the volleys. It's a useful alternative. Doll. Here's Riedler. Beating Bremer, but not Bergami. Marchegiani, Bremer got back to stop the cross. Riedler might whip it in. He does. It's good cover supplied that time by Nicola Berti. He's out quickly as well, but has raised the foot to Skloza. 6 minutes to go. And Lazio in a position that's been familiar for them in this match, chasing the game since 75 seconds were played and Ricardo Ferri headed in. Ruben Sosa with a glint in his eye now. And the referee insistent that that ball does go back. Here is Ruben Sosa! Oh! Rush Senga's fingertips onto the bar. That was an inspired strike. And it was a startled Zenga who got to it. It was a save, definitely, an instinctive one. Maybe in the end a lucky one. And the crossbar did the rest. Whether he saw it coming, he could have been excused for reacting on the late side because it was hit so well. It hasn't been Ruben Sosa's greatest game this by any means, but he remains the real worry to Inter as they try to hang on here against a late Lazio rally. The whistle has gone, and now there's a scrum. Referee Lanese is an old hand at dealing with this. But Inter weren't too clever at dealing with the free kick. Bergodi, up in the air it went, out came Zenga, and the whistle had already gone. Maybe that was generous for the visiting team. Bianchi, one of the casualties of that particular battle. But those fingertips thrust up by Zenga. The difference now between Lazio and an equalizer. Here's Berti. Leisurely going across for the throw. The referee's already put one of his teammates for time-wasting, Baggio. Fontalan. He's got it back to Berti. On my watch, 3 minutes to go. Thomas Doll lengthening the stride. Not overdoing it. Oh, that's a free kick. And that's a problem for Inter because Ruben Sosa, who was, I think, as surprised as many of the Inter players that the whistle had gone, darted across to get hold of the ball. An even match in terms of the fouls. Is it going to be even now in terms of the scoreline? He's certainly got the range. Can they obscure Zenga's view again? Ruben Sosa for Lazio and Zenga for Inter. All credit to Sosa for forcing the goalkeeper into a save. The other side of the wall this time, and perhaps hoping that Zenga might be looking for something to go to the part of the goal that the wall should cover. Mateus misses out for once. He did the first time. Doll. And Riedler playing for a free kick. And I think he's got it. So the match isn't over yet. And this is certainly at an angle to suit Sosa's left foot. And you can feel this last ray of optimism for Lazio. Two minutes into time added on. The last roll of the dice here. And Lanese, a referee who's really been consistent in getting the wall back, which has helped Ruben Sosa. Well, you can see where he might aim for on this near side, but he can't lock it over the wall. And Inter stream out, feeling now surely that the victory is theirs. Klinsmann. It's Berti up with him. Klinsmann goes on. And look at the watch. And Ruben Sosa still hasn't finished. It's still on his left foot. And this is Doll. And the dive at the end of it was desperation, because Thomas Doll had scarcely got the energy left to react when the ball was poked to him by Sosa. In stoppage time, Lazio striving to come alive again. But Riccardo Ferri, hands on hips. His goal after 75 seconds to give Inter a lead that with some difficulty, but not consistent difficulty, they have defended to the last blast on the whistle. Lazio started the day as league leaders. They've been knocked off the top. Inter have bounced back from a 4-0 defeat by Sampdoria to win here by a 1-0. Ferri the scorer, Zenga, who tipped that shot from Ruben Sosa onto the bar, the saviour. A final score, Lazio 0, Inter 1. Milan started the day in second place, behind Lazio. Genoa were seventh, but through no fault of their own, both sides dropped down the table. It was looking good for Milan, Alvarigo Ebani's fierce shot flying past Braglia. But then the weather became an opponent that neither side could beat. This tremendous downpour flooding the San Siro pitch and leaving referee Walter Cinciripini with no option but to take the players off. The decision made 4 minutes after half-time, match abandoned. Juventus unbeaten, Bari without a win and the fixture soon going to form. Julio Cesar picking out Baggio. Alessio's shot, Schillaci following up in a flash, Beato diving for the ball but ruled to have fouled Schillaci before he reached it. Bari angry at the decision, but no doubt about the quality of the penalty itself, steered in by Baggio after 10 minutes. 12 minutes before half-time, Jurgen Kohler virtually killed off Bari's hopes of bouncing back. Helped by Baggio, Kohler charging forward, a splendid goal, the first in Italy for the German defender. Juventus bristling with confidence now, Schillaci's crisp cross, Baggio's volley, and somehow Beato blocking it. David Platt, the architect of this rare Bari threat, just a fleeting glimpse of the Juventus goal. For the rest, Bari relied on Beato preventing a rout. An awkward save from Julio Cesar. And from the corner, great work by the goalkeeper to prevent Casiraghi from making it 3-0. Schillaci still seeking a goal for himself. Beato bailing out Bari again. The constant pressure almost provoking an own goal. Fortunato, a Juventus player last season, losing his bearings. Bari so disappointing again, and after the match their coach Gaetano Salvemini resigned 5 matches into his 3rd season at the club. 4 goals for Sampdoria last week, 4 more this time, all in the first half against Ascoli. The first with 12 minutes gone, Lombardo crossing to the near post towards Roberto Mancini. Goalkeeper Laurieri left totally confused. The replay solves the puzzle. Mancini didn't touch the ball. So another goal for Lombardo, but not one he really intended. Ascoli's German striker Bierhoff looking for an equalizer. But it was all over for the bottom club when this collision between Pergolizzi and Lombardo produced a penalty award. Gianluca Vialli, who was sent off playing for Italy and Bulgaria 4 days earlier, sending Sampdoria into a 2-0 lead. 2 minutes later, Ascoli caught out by Orlando's cross, Mancini most definitely making contact this time, his 4th of the season, 3-0. Sampdoria producing their party pieces now before their 4th and final goal, and like the first, it required close analysis. Manini from Mancini's corner, scrambled away by Ascoli, Bierkabot following up, but the significant last touch came from Vialli. His 5th goal in the 4 matches he started this season, last year's leading scorer on top again. Sampdoria 4, Ascoli 0. Parma's progress over the last year, a fine example for other unfashionable clubs like Foggia to follow. And both sides had their moments in this match. George Gruen with the header for Parma during a well-matched first half. Foggia finding their firepower in the second half. Baiano very unlucky. He helped Foggia into the lead, and the fair-haired Signori, a goal maker in earlier games, became a scorer this time. A goal expertly taken. 1-0 to Foggia. Amongst Parma's qualities, though, real resolution in adversity. Thomas Brolin set up an equaliser with 3 minutes left Alessandro Melli protecting Parma's unbeaten record. Napoli are also still undefeated, and further evidence of their progress came early against Verona. Fernando De Napoli finding Massimo Crippa, and goalkeeper Gregori beaten after 7 minutes. Dragan Stojkovic available for Verona for the first time after suspension, but the midfield controlled by Napoli, with De Napoli and Gianfranco Zola working so well together. Zola again here, how well he's responded to the greater responsibility he now carries in Naples. Napoli's second goal was a personal disaster for their former sweeper, Alessandro Renica, who left for Verona in the summer. Renica failing to obey the basic principles of defence against Zola. Careca's easy task, the consequence of that. But less blame to Verona here. A splendid third for Napoli. Crippa crossing, Careca ducking deliberately, and Padovano pouncing. After handball by French international Blanc, a penalty for Verona, tucked away by Robert Pritz. 3-1 the final score. Another good day for Napoli, but they've not yet this season been challenged by the very best. Torino, in fact, gave Napoli their toughest task last week, a goalless draw. Enzo Scippo at the heart of their attempt to win in Sardinia. But Torino should have gone a goal behind here. Enzo Francescoli lining up the shot, the goal gaping, and somehow he missed the target. Trouble now for Torino. Luca Fusi fouling Gaudenzi. The referee ruling that Gaudenzi was heading for goal. The result, a red card. You'd never have known that Cagliari had an extra man when they left Scippo unmarked at Lentini's free kick with 21 minutes left. Cagliari couldn't level the score. Criniti close here, but the number of players per side was levelled at 10 each. Fedicano following Fusi to the dressing room for a second cautionable offence. Cagliari 0, Torino 1. Cremonese and Atalanta both without a win so far, but Atalanta had drawn their 3 previous matches and looked the more confident for that. Cremonese were pressed back from the outset, and they went a goal behind after 20 minutes. A very relaxed finish by one of Atalanta's old hands, Glenn Stromberg from Sweden, in his 8th season in Italy. Another Atalanta opening for their Argentinian striker Claudio Caniggia. Cremonese back in the game from Marcolin's cross, the referee spotting handball by Di Patri, a penalty, and another Argentinian, Dizzotti, making the most of it. Dizzotti, you may remember, was sent off in the World Cup final. Minaldo with this magnificent shot for Atalanta. Caniggia couldn't make the most of the rebound, but Atalanta did reclaim the lead a minute into the second half through their new Brazilian striker Carlos Bianchesi. No disputing the justice in that. Atalanta much the better side. Caniggia still had no luck in front of goal. Carlo Perrone coming close. Cremonese looking early candidates for a return to the second division. Finally to Florence, Fiorentina had held Milan in the San Siro the previous Sunday. Roma had won both their away games so far. First chance for Fiorentina, fluffed rather, by Orlando. Roma with only 2 goals but 5 points from 4 games. Thomas Hessler wrapping the Fiorentina crossbar. A rare Roma goal on the way from Carboni's cross, too strong for Rudi Foller, but rammed in by Fausto Salsano, a super shot 9 minutes before half-time. Marco Branca almost found a route to an equalizer. Roma relying on their defence now, and it rarely failed them. Only 3 away wins all last season. They've been victorious in 3 out of 3 on their travels this time. Fiorentina beaten, their coach Lazzaroni on the verge of departure. Ascoli, conceding 4 goals for the second match in a row, are entrenched at the bottom of the table. Bari and Cremonese not much better off, still without a win, while Cagliari have now lost 4 successive games after that splendid start when they beat Sampdoria. Lazio dropped from 1st to 6th, with Juventus going to the top, a point clear of free-scoring Sampdoria. Napoli, who are still unbeaten since March and Maradona's departure, and Roma, who have 7 points yet have scored only 3 goals. Also on 7, Inter, who are under special scrutiny. How would they cope away to Lazio after Sampdoria had forced 4 goals past them a week earlier? Inter gave their answer after just 75 seconds.
Ricardo Ferri climbed so well for what turned out to be the winning goal. After their galling defeat in Genoa, Inter's heads in every respect held high again.